Hi there, and welcome to our video on fun facts about Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is a professional basketball player who currently plays for the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA. He is a talented and exciting player, and here are a few fun facts about him. 1. Hometown. Ljubljana is the capital of tiny Slovenia, with a population of less than 300,000, located between the top of Italy and Croatia. I don't know what they add to the water there, but despite the relatively small population, the country has around 2 million citizens. The amount of Slovenians in the world's best league is quite substantial. The full list includes 11 names, such as Luka Doncic, Goran Dragic, Beno Udrih, Primoz Brezic, Boštjan Nakbar, Rasha Nestorovic and Sasha Vujacic. Some explanation for this situation may be the fact that basketball is a national sport in the country, and the courts are crowded with old-timers as well as youngsters. 2. Family. Sasa Doncic, Luka's father, also played basketball. His career took him to clubs such as Pivovarna Laško, Domžale and Olympia, in whose colors he reached the national championship twice and won the cup 3 times. Sasa, now a coach, recalls his son's first steps, not only in baseball, but in general, as follows. I can assure you that ever since he was born, basketball was number one for him. My wife used to take him to my games, where an amazing thing happened. Although he was a very restless child who could cry all day, he calmed down as soon as the game started. He watched with interest, without fidgeting or any squealing. From being a passive witness to the events on the basketball floor, the desire to try this fascinating sport on his own was born very quickly. There was not much room in our house. However, Luka was playing against a wall, with a kid's ball, as early as the age of 2. As he grew, we had to buy him a second ball. It cost us a lot. Much of the equipment in the house got damaged with these workouts of his. Fortunately, the neighborhood playground was about 15 meters from our block. He spent his days there. 3. Growing up. The older the boy got, the more ambitious sports projects he engaged in. Participation in these projects often required him to move away from where he lived. But it wasn't always just about basketball. He chased a ball all day, but it could have been any ball. Tennis, basketball, soccer, handball, water polo. I guess because of my influence on him, in the end, he decided on basketball. Tine Ružić, spokesman for Olimpia Ljubljana, the club where Doncic took his first steps in organized basketball, remembers the boy this way. I worked in a sports store in a large shopping center, and every week Luka would drop by with his mother. He would watch and try on shoes, test basketballs, jerseys. He was fascinated by it. Even if they weren't going to buy anything, they would stop by so he could have a look. The youngster's passion continued to grow. When he was a little older, he would run out to the floor during breaks in games his father was playing, to shoot some hoops with other boys. He always liked to play against guys bigger than himself. When he was 11 to 12 years old, I would see him playing in 3-on-3 matches against guys 6 or 7 years older than him. Not only were they his friends, but he also settled disputes during these matches. Some of that remains to this day. Now it's similar. The boy is barely 21 and already he has become the leader of his team, the Dallas Mavericks. In my opinion, this is because the boy is used to this role, to take responsibility for the team. He has practiced this since he was a little boy. This is something you have to be born with. There are many good players, but there are really only a few who are suited to be a leader. Luka is one of those few. 4. Career beginnings. The real road to stardom began in 2007, when he was barely 8 years old and his father was an Olympia player. He took his son to the club's nursery, with the intention of drafting him into the youth team. Here's how Greg Brezovic, the coach, remembered that incident. It was fall. I had been working at the club for a short time, and Sasa came and asked when there were trainings for boys Luka's age. When young Doncic first came to training, he stood out in such a way that it only took us 16 minutes to decide to send him up to the U12 group. There was no point in keeping him with these kids any longer. He ended up in a group coached by Jernej Smolnikers, where he played with boys 3 years older than him. About his first tournament. That year, I led their team in a children's under-10 tournament, and Luka showed a very important trait there. He knew he was the best, but he played in a very team-oriented way, was a positive leader, encouraged his teammates to make different plays, cheered them on. As his father mentioned earlier, you have to be born with it. I trained him between the ages of 9 and 12, seeing him 6 days a week. He was a dominant player and displayed high basketball IQ. Leaving him in the youngsters didn't make any sense at all, we would have stunted his growth. 6 days a week for training, not bad. Here's what he did off the court. He loved to run around with his friends, he was constantly laughing. But, I kid you not, basketball always came first. You could say he lived for it. Since his talent was very apparent, there were times when he was envied. If not by his teammates, then by their parents. Didn't his schooling suffer because of sports? He was an average student, with satisfactory results, but he was far from an academic prodigy. We knew that he would not become a scientist, he would not discover a new planet. At assemblies, teachers said that he was constantly talking about basketball, over and over again, basketball, basketball, basketball. I laughed, but his mother would shake her head and sigh heavily. 5. Big clubs. In 2012, 13-year-old Luka, with 6 seasons under his belt in Olympia's youth teams, found himself at Real, one of Europe's top basketball clubs. Thus, his talent entered a much bigger stage. It was a few months after he scored 54 points against the Lazio basket team at a youth tournament. I think it was very good for him to leave at such a young age to a foreign country. He started from scratch, went out of his comfort zone. First, he had to learn the language. He was thrown straight into the deep end, with more than 3 times as many people living in Madrid as in the whole of Slovenia. Pain shaped Luka. It was playing there that defined his entire career. At the age of 16, in 2015, Luka became the youngest starter ever to play for Real Madrid and the 3rd youngest ever in the entire ACB league. His spiral of success began to shoot up. 3 ACB championships, a EuroLeague championship, EuroLeague MVP, MVP of the Spanish league were just the tip of the iceberg. The door to the NBA opened up wide. 6. NBA. As a Dallas rookie, the 3rd pick of the 2018 draft earned stats of 21.2 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game and 6 assists per game. It was similar to Oscar Robertson, the only player in history who closed his rookie season with averages of 21 points, 7 rebounds and 5 assists a game. No wonder he won the Rookie of the Year. He has become our country's biggest sports star. People buy his jerseys, talk about his games. Although NBA games are broadcast in our country in the morning, plenty of people gather in bars, ready to cheer for him. His stats only got better the following season, and Dallas climbed from 33 wins to 40 wins in a season. Doncic also became a starter in the All-Star game and, in his own words, sky is the limit. In the age of 5 or 6 years ago he stated that his potential has simply no limit. At the age of 19 he made it to the NBA and there are many indications that he will play there for a dozen years or so. However, I always tell him that sport is cruel and that today you are the best, tomorrow no one remembers you. But if he develops his career as well as he has done so far, I think he will make history. Let's hope so, we're keeping our fingers crossed. To sum up, one more thought from Coach Brezovic. Luka is like MacGyver. He needed a pocket knife to get out of any trouble, for Luka basketball is enough. It's his job, but also fun and rest time. I can't imagine how far this boy can go if he keeps at it. Wishing all the best for Luka. Thanks for watching. Did you learn something new? Like the video and subscribe for more.